It's an exciting time again for all of us NBA fans as the 2021 NBA draft is just a few days away, and today it's gonna be a fun time on the channel as well as we're having our first ever NBA mock draft / big board lottery edition. And if you guys happen to agree or disagree with some or most of my selections here, I would really appreciate it if you can just comment your thoughts down below and I'll be happy to read them. So what's good guys, it's Real Balls here, and before we jump right into it, if you do enjoy this kinds of content, please make sure to hit that like button as it definitely helps the channel's content reach more people. It only takes a second of your time, but it will be much appreciated. So let's get to it. With the first pick of the 2021 NBA draft, I have the Detroit Pistons selecting Cade Cunningham. Well, first of all, I personally think that the gap between Cade and guys like Jalen Green or Evan Mobley is much closer than people think. But still, I can't find enough reason for any of them to overtake Cunningham for the top spot. While at 6'8" with a 7-foot wingspan, Cade is just a type of oversized playmaker which is highly coveted in today's NBA. Aside from that, he can score on all three levels, he makes advanced reads on offense as a playmaker, and he also contributes on the defensive end because of his natural two-way instincts. And I mean, there just isn't one glaring weakness to his game that's been seen so far. While I think the main selling point for Cunningham, which sets him apart from other top prospects, is his shooting. He comes to the league having shot 40% from deep in his one season at Oklahoma State, and I think this just gives Cunningham one of the highest floors in this draft. While obviously there are concerns with his negative assist to turnover ratio, but I definitely think surrounding him with guys like Saddiq Bey who can shoot, and guys like Jeremy Grant or Isaiah Stewart who can run the pick and roll with him will definitely help Cade show his true value as a playmaker at the NBA level. And he has also shown the ability to play off the ball in college, so I don't think the fit with Killian Hayes is gonna be problematic either. So no question, Cade Cunningham is a really good pick for the Pistons at number 1. At number 2, I have the Houston Rockets selecting Jalen Green from the G League Ignite. While personally, I prefer Mobley at number 2 if I were just picking based on overall upside and potential, but yeah, I think the Rockets are really high on Green as their player of the future, which totally makes sense as well. I mean, Jalen Green will probably enter the NBA as the best shooting guard prospect that we've seen in years. This guy's the definition of a bucket who comes with insane bounce together with potential in the playmaking and defensive end thanks to his 6'7" frame and almost 6'8" wingspan. Green already showed glimpses of what he can do as a pro as he shot 37% from deep in the G League while also averaging 1.5 steals per game. So I think it's definitely intriguing how he'll work as a potential fit next to Kevin Porter Jr. as one half of Houston's backcourt of the future. And I think if he learns to become more comfortable playing an off-ball role when needed, then the Rockets will have one of the most terrifying guard combos in the league for years to come. With the third overall pick, I have the Cavs selecting 7-foot big man Evan Mobley from USC. With this pick, I think the Cavs pick Mobley not only because he's the best player available, but because he'll fit just really well with the team's existing young core. At 7 feet tall with a 7'5" wingspan, Mobley isn't what you'd expect from a big man as he basically beats perimeter players at their own game. Mobley can defend positions 1 to 5 both from the paint and the perimeter, and he also knows how to create his own shot from the top of the key thanks to his handle, which is pretty solid for a big man. And with his ability to move around the court with ease and with a shooting stroke which projects to translate at the NBA level, I think he'll be a nice long-term fit as a pick and roll or pick and pop option next to Colin Sexton and Darius Garland. And with his tremendous defensive instincts and length, I think he'll immediately step in as a solid weak side defender next to a more big-bodied center in Jarrett Allen while he works on improving his thin frame. Mobley could be considered raw for his position because of his strength at this point, but I think it's just that unique of a generational type of player to pass on at number 3. At number 4, I have the Toronto Raptors selecting Florida State's Scottie Barnes. While a lot of mock drafts have the Raptors taking Jalen Suggs at number 4, but personally, I just love the potential fit of a big wing playmaker and defender like Barnes with Toronto's existing core. And I mean, when did Masai Ujiri ever get predictable with his draft decisions? And I think Barnes is definitely a good choice here. He's arguably the best multi-positional defender from this draft class, he can defend guards and wings, and he even projects as a potential small ball 5 in the NBA. I mean, just imagine what he and OG Anunoby can do on defense together, and this is 6'8" or 6'9" wing with an insane 7'2" wingspan who can get to the rim at will and create plays for others. He's just the type of player that's very hard to find nowadays. And yeah, he can't shoot yet, but Toronto is good at developing talent. And with the Raptors taking Barnes, I think they'll be able to retain both Fred VanVleet and Gary Trent in the starting lineup, which is a good thing. And especially with the 27-year-old Pascal Siakam looking more like a trade chip nowadays, I think Scottie Barnes will be a really good transition piece here for the Raptors. With the 5th overall pick, I have the Orlando Magic selecting Gonzaga combo guard Jalen Suggs. And at this point, I think the Magic are gladly going to take Suggs, who's one of the most NBA-ready players from this draft, who's got solid scoring, playmaking, and defensive ability. While yeah, Orlando already has Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz, RJ Hampton, or even Gary Harris, but I think none of those guards really project to have the upside and the athleticism of Jalen Suggs. Plus, this guy also played in a lot of off-ball situations in college in a Gonzaga system which basically ran plays like an NBA team, so I think he'll come in ready to contribute on either end of the floor right away, and so drafting him at number 5 just doesn't look like a problem at all for Orlando. And if Suggs happens to improve his mediocre 33% shooting rate from deep, I'm pretty sure he's going to be a lock into one of Orlando's backcourt spots for the foreseeable future. At number 6, I have the OKC Thunder selecting 6'10" big man Alperen Sengun. Well, first of all, OKC has a glaring need for a legitimate big man in the roster and also a glaring need for scoring after the team finished with the worst offensive rating in the NBA last season, and I think Sengun would improve the team on those ends right away. Well, this guy was already able to prove himself as a solid interior player who can bang bodies and create for himself against grown men in one of Europe's top-tier leagues, where he has also won MVP at 18 years of age. And with his mobility, advanced passing skills, variety of post moves, natural defensive instincts, and a nice perimeter shooting stroke which projects to translate in the NBA, I think Sengun will just be a really solid big man who'll fit pretty nicely in a positionless roster which OKC seems to be building. And for a guy who's averaged 19 points and 9 rebounds and 64% shooting from the field who dominated against grown men at such a young age, I think the chances of him failing are really small. And with his explosive finishing ability and good hands, I'm just especially optimistic with his fit alongside one of the top pick-and-roll ball handlers in the NBA in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. With the 7th pick, I have the Golden State Warriors selecting 6'5" guard James Bouknight from UConn. Well, there's a big chance the Warriors will trade one or both of their picks for immediate help, but even if that happens, I think this guy is just one of the best players available this high in the draft. I mean, Bouknight is probably one of the most creative shot creators from this draft class. He just has the crazy ability to drain pull-up jumpers from almost anywhere on the perimeter, and with his tight handle, hesitation dribbles, and his low-key athletic ability, is also able to manufacture crafty finishes at the rim despite being surrounded by defenses. Well, he only shot 29% from 3 in his last college season, but it was just constantly hounded by defenders, being UConn's primary offensive option. And his shooting mechanics also look solid, so I'm pretty optimistic he'll get his shots to fall at the NBA level. And if the Warriors choose to ride with this pick, I think he'll be a really solid fit. We saw how the team struggled to score the ball with Steph Curry on the bench last season, and even with Klay coming back, it could take time for him to get his full groove on. So ultimately, Bouknight could be an instant offense kind of guy and a building block for the future, which Golden State would want at this point. At number 8, I have the Orlando Magic selecting 6'7" wing Jonathan Kuminga. Well, Orlando Magic GM John Hammond loves drafting high upside wing players with great physical tools, and Kuminga is just that kind of guy. I mean, Kuminga is still a very raw offensive player who mainly relies on athleticism over polish, but I think his physical gifts just sets him apart from other wing players available at this point, and Orlando knows that. While I see Kuminga as sort of a throwback wing player who loves to use strength and physicality in order to get to the rim, and he also looks like a tremendous open floor athlete who can just run with the best of them while also having the ability to make advanced passes to teammates. But yeah, his numbers in the G League are pretty concerning, as he shot an underwhelming 38% from the field and 25% from 3. But if he becomes more consistent with his perimeter game, and if he figures out how to convert the shots that is able to create around the rim at a higher rate, I think it's definitely gonna be an even better version of Jonathan Isaac, which is why I think Orlando would love to grab him at number 8. With the 9th pick, I have the Sacramento Kings selecting 6'9" forward Jalen Johnson from Duke. Well, I personally love Johnson's game and versatility as a big wing, and I mean, for a guy who mainly plays power forward, Johnson's ability to grab boards, run the open floor, and score or create plays in transition with ease is really fun to watch. And while he shot 44% from deep, he only attempted 18 outside shots for the whole year, and I think his shooting mechanics are still pretty much rigid, so I think he still has a lot of work to do before he becomes a real outside scoring threat. But on the other hand, he was able to score 1.5 points per possession as a cutter and 1.2 points per possession as a roll man in pick and roll sequences, so you can just imagine how good his long-term fit will be with De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton. And the Kings were the worst team in the league last season based on defensive rating, and I think Jalen Johnson is someone who could immediately step in and contribute on that end right away. He actually averaged a ridiculous 16 rebounds, 3.1 steals, and 3.3 blocks per 100 possessions in college, which is actually really impressive for a 6'9" guy. So based on his versatility, size, and overall potential, I think he'll be a really solid pick for the Kings here. At number 10, I have the New Orleans Pelicans selecting Franz Wagner from Michigan. Well, basically, if you're the Pels, I think what you're looking for here is someone who can impact the game on both ends without necessarily having the ball in his hands. And at 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan, Wagner will come in and just impact the game with both his defense and feel for the game right away. Well, this guy is a big wing but is comfortable defending multiple positions both in the paint and in the perimeter as well as in the half court and in transition. And the Pelicans ranked 23rd in perimeter defense last season, so he'll definitely be a good fit here. I mean, he's just the type of guy who has a really good nose for the ball and who's able to disrupt plays in the passing lanes, who's made a living by either starting or finishing plays in the open court. So I definitely think he'll be a nice fit with the Pelicans running game here. And more importantly, he shot 71% as a cutter in Michigan, so he'll definitely be a great off-ball option who can find his way to the rim when Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram are hounded by defenses. Well, I think Wagner doesn't have that superstar kind of upside, but I think it's his versatility that you're going for here, and it's definitely a guy who'd help the Pelicans win right away, especially with the Zion situation going on. At number 11, I have the Charlotte Hornets selecting Moses Moody. Well, the Hornets are probably one piece away from making the playoffs, and I think Moody is a guy who'd be able to immediately contribute to winning. At 6'6" with a 6'11" wingspan, he has really great size for a wing, and his solid 3-and-D game is projected to translate at the NBA level pretty well. Moody's just a really safe pick at this point. I mean, he'll pretty much be able to effectively guard positions 1-4, and his 36% 3-point shooting rate and solid stroke actually looks really promising. And what I like here is that Moody also knows how to move around the perimeter when he's looking to find the best angles for his shot, which is why I think he'll be an easy target for one of the best passers in the game in LaMelo Ball. Well, the Hornets obviously lack a reliable big man, but I think they can address that need in free agency, and I still like them picking a solid 3-and-D guy with shot-making potential here in Moses Moody. With the 12th pick, I have the San Antonio Spurs selecting 6'8" big man Usman Garuba. Well, yeah, Garuba is definitely undersized playing the 4 or 5 positions, but I think it's his versatility for his position that will carry him in the NBA for a really long time. I mean, at 18 years old, he already showed his value as a rotational big man as he played a total of 86 games for Real Madrid in the EuroLeague, which is considered to be the second best pro league in the world. And in today's NBA, which increasingly relies on skill more than size, I think he'll definitely be very useful as he'll be one of the most switchable big men in the league thanks to his mobility and defensive instincts, while also having the potential to be an offensive threat who can finish around the rim consistently thanks to his good hands and explosiveness. Well, I love the fit here for the Spurs. I think Garuba will definitely be a great rim-running big man next to San Antonio's young core of DeJounte Murray, Keldon Johnson, and Lonnie Walker if they continue with their up-tempo style of play. And if he develops his handle and shot-making ability while also being able to improve his 3-point shot, I think he'll be a good stretch 4 or small ball 5 for the Spurs moving forward. At number 13, I have the Indiana Pacers selecting 6'2" combo guard Davion Mitchell from Baylor. The downside here for Mitchell will ultimately be his size, but I think his defense, playmaking, and shooting will be too much to pass on at this point in the draft. I think his lateral quickness is pretty much untouchable in this draft class, and I think he'll definitely be asked to defend the opposing team's best scoring guard from day one. Well, aside from the impressive defense, overall, I think Mitchell's game is almost tailor-made for any NBA offense. I mean, he can handle the ball, he can create plays, he can shoot from deep as shown by his 44% 3-point rate, and it looks like he just has another gear when he attacks the rim. And with TJ McConnell entering free agency, I think the Pacers would love to grab Mitchell here as a potential fit next to Malcolm Brogdon in the backcourt, and as a potential pick-and-roll partner or as a catch-and-shoot guy who can thrive next to an offensive hub like Domantas Sabonis. And lastly, at number 14, I have the Golden State Warriors taking Josh Giddey from the Adelaide 36ers of the NBL. Well, again, it's very likely that the Warriors trade this pick, but if they don't, I think Giddey would be a great rotational fit for the team, especially for the future. At 6'8", Giddey is practically a wing with guard skills who is as versatile as anyone from this draft class. I mean, his playmaking is already elite and his nose for the ball is definitely there. He averaged 7.4 rebounds and 7.5 assists in the NBL, and that kind of versatility for an offensive initiator is really very enticing. And although he still isn't a reliable shooter or an athletic shot creator at this point, I think it only takes one of those skills to pan out for him to be a reliable wing playmaker in the NBA with the kind of maturity that he already has to his game. And with the Warriors having a healthy Steph Curry and Klay Thompson next season, Giddey can take his time to improve the holes in his skill set while learning how to win at the same time. So who do you guys think are surefire lottery selections in this draft class? Feel free to comment your thoughts down below, and if you've enjoyed this mock draft, please do consider subscribing to the channel as well. Again, this is Real Balls, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.